Welcome to the broadcast, my fruits. Before we start, I want to take a moment just to say thank you to the Duchess of Sussex. I want to recognise the fact that she has decided not to go to the coronation for whatever reason. Because there could have been a very different announcement yesterday. And so I don't want to be accused of not acknowledging the fact that my wish has been granted on this occasion. We don't know what she'll come up with in the future, but I want to take the opportunity to say thank you, spiritually, to the Duchess of Sussex for not making an appearance at the forthcoming coronation. I am delighted about it, and I think it's important that that is acknowledged. However, we need to discuss the spin that has emerged over the past 24 hours from various pundits, and it is inevitable, it's going to happen, and they're entitled to their say. But they are spinning, and it ain't gold they're spinning, it's yarns. And we ain't falling for it, are we? My jeers. No, we ain't falling for it, because the spin is that the Duchess of Sussex declined the invitation to the coronation because, what is it they say, she was displaying the regal power of no. What? She said no. Girl said no. She said talk to the hand. No. I say no, my dear. This ain't about her refusing to give her royal seal of approval. This is the way they're trying to spin it. That, you know, I am just the real queen, and I am a proud feminist and a woman of colour, and I am owning my own queendom by letting that dusty old white king of the United Kingdom. I mean, he's only king of the United Kingdom and 14 or 15 other realms, isn't he? I can never remember if it's 14 or 15. Yeah, you know, he's only king of 15 realms and all their territories. I'm the queen of Montecito, and I'm the queen of Oprah and the talk show circuit, and the queen of merchandising, and the queen of making billions and trillions. So what do they know? Why should I grace them with my regal presence? No, my dear, it is a case of that charming Markle nose of yours being put severely out of joint, and not at the hand of a surgeon this time. It is your nose out of joint, my lover. That's what it is. And because she's rumoured to be a fantasist, with not so much head in reality, she spun it for herself. And I know, I don't say this with malice. I say this with some sort of pity, really. She can't handle the fact that she was not proffered this apology that she and her husband demanded, that everybody didn't bend and submit to her want and whim, and Princess Catherine, who made her cry. One tear left eye. Catherine, everybody should have been lining up in submission to this gal. And she didn't get it. And the press should have fallen in love with her because she made her case so very clear on Oprah Winfrey. And Harry, with his multi-zillion selling tome. That work of fiction by J.R. Moore-Ringer didn't work. All of that didn't work, did it, my dear? It still left most of the world's population wanting for belief. And she just has this narrowing crowd of Fruit Loops baying for her. This narrow, ever-decreasing circles of insensibility. These are the insensible ones. These are the deranged. These are the Fruit Loopish. Some of them are vulnerable people. These are people who embrace and rejoice in victimhood while being told, you're not victims, you are strong. And I don't like this fashion, by the way, for not calling victims of crime or victims of horrors victims. There's no shame in being a victim, a literal victim. The pity is when somebody allows that to become their identity and subsume their life. But being a victim in and of itself can be owned. You don't have to do away with a word like victim, for example, and call yourself a survivor. You know, the Sussex survivors might be happy with that moniker, but I would venture that they were also Sussex victims. And there's no reason to control the narrative by rebranding themselves as survivors. Victims, if what we were told is to be believed, as some quarters think it was. It's the optics that this gal worries about, the optics in the minds of these deranged ones, these Fruit Loops, these insensible ones. Because she is the gal, she is a princess of the United Kingdom, no less, a duchess that had the temerity to broadcast to a global audience on Netflix, to broadcast the fact that she was going to mock the curtsy to the Queen. Yes, she mocked her curtsy to the Queen, cheapened that exchange, cheapened the memory of the late Queen Elizabeth, and turned it into some kind of meme. It beggars belief, it truly does. What did she think she was doing? Well, she did that, and so now she knows that she can't show her Fruit Loops, she can't show her insensibles, that she can't risk looking like a hypocrite. She can't risk dashing across the ocean, rolling out the red carpet. That girl thinks she's so royal, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't just have red paint on the base of her Louboutin, and that she's actually got a template of red plush carpet cut out into the shape of those trotters and applied to the base of her stilettos, my dear, so that she is always trotting about on red plush to show who the real royal is. Well, she won't be trotting overseas because she didn't want to be seen, after making a mockery of the Queen's curtsy, her curtsy to the Queen. She didn't want to be seen curtsying to the King, being deferential to the King. A true king. That thing that her husband will never be, her lady boy. And speaking of lady boys, he is her first lady boy, because she is presidential in style. You know, she thinks that she is a queen, a president, a top of the pile. Remember, she used to work in politics. Yeah, when she was working as an intern, photocopying a few pages. Go make us a cup of tea, love. I'm working in politics. I'm almost president. She was on work experience. Well, she got it into her mind that she was president, and she's taking her tip from President Biden, who has declined the coronation, but is sending Ginny Biden instead, his first lady. Well, she thought, well, if the president can send Jilly, then I can send Harry, my first lady boy. I'm president, and he is my first lady boy. Oh, Jilly, oh, J, I mean, oh, H, Jilly, Harry, I've decided to give you my blessing. I cannot attend because Archie needs me on his birthday. He needs me. He's turning 4, and he'll be traumatized if we're apart for 48 hours. He needs me here, and he can't cope with the crowds of the coronation, so he's not going with you, but I want to take Archie. He is only 3 years old. Do you realize what it will do to him to be amongst the crowds at Westminster Abbey? He is too young for a coronation. The late Queen had a coronation in 1953, and my father, King Charles, attended when he was 4 years old. He wasn't overwhelmed by it. But the crowds will go berserk, calling for me, because they miss me so much. The crowds will be chanting, Archie, why didn't you bring your mother? Why didn't you bring Meghan? We want Meghan, we want our true queen. She should be getting the coronation today, not King Charles. It should be Queen Meghan. Where is Queen Nutmeg? We want Queen Nutmeg, we want Queen Nutmeg, we want her now. That is what my fans of England will be chanting amongst the cruel racists who can't accept me and will be begging for my blood. The cruel media, the racist cruel media. I'm mixing up my accents, aren't I? It's Westminster Abbey, actually. All Archie will have to do is walk in with me into a really vast, vaulted abbey amongst loads of loved ones for a really happy, sacred ceremony. It's not really going to be that overwhelming, is it? And I want to make that point because a few people have said to me in the comments, Archie is too young for a coronation service. Because as I told you, the whispers I received when I told you a month ago that Harry was coming and that Meghan wasn't, the whispers I received is that he wanted Archie to join him. The whispers I am still receiving tell me that he still wants Archie to come with him. So I realise that it is out of left field and really very remotely, it's very remote chance of Archie springing up now. But I wouldn't put it past Harry to be plotting a surprise appearance from Archie. And my understanding is that it is only Meghan's insistence that is stopping that happening, if my whispers are to be believed. It is her control and not wanting her children to be part of the proceedings there to give sort of validation to it. She can't stop Harry from going, but she can prevent the children from going. But it is my understanding that Harry, to this day, wants Archie to go with him. So don't be surprised if there is some kind of last-minute pop-up. But a few people have said to me it wouldn't be fair to bring a 4-year-old child to the coronation. I thoroughly disagree. And don't tell me that I don't know about young children, because A, I've been a 4-year-old and I remember what it's like, and also I'm extremely familiar with 4-year-old children. Extremely familiar, and more than most, because my mother, rather like Princess Diana, ran a kindergarten for a very long time, and we've always been surrounded by a trillion kids of all types, all stripes, all colours, all creeds, from little cherubs to little brats, and I'm very familiar with them, what they're capable of, and also how underestimated they can be. And a few people have said a 4-year-old would be completely overawed by, especially someone like Archie, who perhaps is rather sheltered and isn't used to crowds. Well, it's time to toughen them up. It's time to toughen them up. Yes, King Charles did attend the coronation when he was 4 years old, and Anne, although she didn't attend the coronation, Princess Anne did go on the balcony at 2 years old to that vast crowd for the Queen's coronation. She was a part of the proceedings. And sometimes you've got to toughen kids up a little bit. The main problem you're going to get from a young child at an event like that is getting them to keep still. And we saw that at the Platinum Jubilee with the 3 children, gurning away as children do, fidgeting in their seats, being a little bit hyperactive. That happens with some children. Although I do say, and I realise I haven't seen much of Archie, and yes, I believe Archie exists. I don't want any of those conversations on my channel or any of that kind of nonsense. But from what I see and the sense I get from him, and I realise it's only a sense and mainly my imagination, I realise that, but I get the sense that he's quite a placid, calm sort of child. And I think I read somewhere that he's also, from people that have met him, friends of the Harkles, that he's a very pleasant, well-behaved young man, and a credit to his parents. So I think that he would be absolutely fine sitting in a beautiful, peaceful abbey surrounded by people that may not know him, but that care about him, and he will be with his father as well. So, people worry a little bit too much about the sensitivities of a perfectly capable 4-year-old child. But if I'm coming across as if I want Prince Archie to be there, no, I don't. In a parallel universe, when everything was hunky-dory and Meghan was ambassador to the Commonwealth and did her duty, as a good daughter-in-law, didn't put her own needs and wants selfishly first, constantly, and same applies to Harry, then yes, I would absolutely love Prince Archie to be involved in the coronation. Of course I would. That poor boy whose birthright has been stripped from him, along with Princess Lilibet, I have nothing but sympathy for them. But they are not going to be working members of the royal family. They are, for all intents and purposes, civilians, private civilians in the Harkledom. So no, he shouldn't be at the coronation because of what his parents did, and not because of anything that poor boy did. So no, it's not that I want him there, but it doesn't mean that I can't criticise this ridiculous nonsense about his birthday having something to do with him missing from the coronation. I mean, as many of you told me in the comments, so many of us had our birthdays when we were young moved around, the celebrations to different days because they clashed with, holidays, vacations, school goings on, whatever it was. A 4-year-old isn't even really going to remember the exact day their birthday is without constant prompting from parents. So, this birthday malarkey being bandied around all over as some sort of incentive or reason is absurd. And as I hinted at yesterday, my information is, and my understanding is, that this issue with regards to Archie attending the coronation, especially before Buckingham Palace decided that there would be no glimpse of the Sussexes as part of the balcony and as part of the parade and the procession, especially after that was announced. It became a bit of a moot point anyway, but this to and fro has caused a real headache, a real friction between the Duke and the Duchess. Yes, which is ongoing, if my whispers are to be believed, which is ongoing right now. In fact, it's the most major obstacle, the most major challenge that they've faced. I know there have been whispers for some time about trouble in paradise. My whispers said no, absolutely not. Thriving, all the way up until the last, I was going to say a few weeks, but I suppose over the period of the last couple of months in this whole build-up. Big friction. Because she can't have complete control over Harry, because part of his heart remains in the kingdom, with that tugging of the heartstrings back to the motherland. And he knows deep down, he must know, that he's been utterly contemptuous in this whole debacle, no matter what he says, no matter what he behaves. It's the echo of a memory of goodness that was instilled into him by his family members, that he seems to display some glimpse of recognition for or of, one can hope, if one isn't too cynical. But this has been a time of abrasive friction betwixt the two. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And remember, everything is at stake for Harry in this relationship. Everything is at stake. Because it is a house of cards that he has built. The relationship fails, the entire house of cards collapses for Harry. And it brings to mind the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. If you're not familiar with the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, it's a valuable tale, so I shall tell you the synopsis. There is an emperor ruling over a capital city and known for his extravagant taste in luxurious clothing. He's vainglorious. He's swaddled in furs, dripping with jewels, and no, his name isn't River. Before we progress, so don't get any funny ideas about that, my dear. No. This emperor can't get enough. Liberace, eat your heart out. Every adornment, and wears it with pride, and has a great love for this kind of thing. Well, one day, 2 swindlers turn up in town, 2 con men, and they nifty their way into the confidence of the emperor, and they pose as fine weavers that can weave the most intricate garments, And their speciality is that they weave garments out of such a fine and ethereal magical thread that it can only be seen by the wise. And if people are stupid or ignorant, or if they are fools, they can't even see the clothes that are spun out of this fine yarn. And because the emperor is rather vain and also rather stupid beneath the veneer, he takes them at their word and he sets them to work. And they set up their looms and they spin. Remember those yarns we've had been spinning over the last 24 hours? Wasn't gold they were spinning, these Rumpelstiltskins, these wannabe Rumpelstiltskins. No, my dear, it was yarns. It was yarns. Naked yarns. Well, after a patch, the weavers presented the emperor with his new clothes spun out of these invisible yarns that can only be seen by the clever and the bright. And the emperor, to his chagrin, as he was looking over his new fineries, his new wardrobe, couldn't see anything. Couldn't see anything. But instead of clocking that he was in the company of con men and swindlers, no, my dear, he wasn't having any of that. Oh, they're beautiful. What fine clothing you have spun for me, my dears. Your talent is beyond recompense, beyond compare. Here, let me give you every favour of the kingdom. Thank you for such fineries. And he flings around these invisible clothes. Well, actually, they strip him down. They strip him down until he's completely and utterly naked. Stark naked, from the curls of his forehead to the fungal toenails of his wretched feet. This plump emperor, they strip him down. Everything's dangling and on display. And they truss him up and they style him. They throw this around the neck and this on the head and get this guy. Oh, it's beautiful, doesn't it? Emperor, absolutely fabulous, my dear. Wonderful. Yes, and we'll have a bit more money for that, please, and we'll charge you a bit more for that extra. Of course, oh, it's worth it, my dear. So glad that you like it. Of course, it looks splendid. And the emperor even tries to convince his friends and everybody in his life. What do you think of my new fineries, he says, posing there in absolutely nothing. But his advisors and his courtiers are afraid to say anything because they've been told that only the stupid and the ignorant can't see the new clothes. So he's sent on his way to the emperor's procession, the grand coronation. I mean, not coronation, procession. He's going to show off his fineries. And he progresses along in his parade, processing, with this vulgar, tawdry cabaret to everybody's eye. But the audience, they clap. Does he look wonderful? Yes, because they're afraid that they'll be told off with their head if they laugh, or if they, they are watching a naked, unappealing emperor parade down a street, seemingly unaware as if anything's going on. So they clap him, just like the Fruit Loops and the Insensibles of the Harkledom. Yes, just like them. Oh, we love you. Like manic seals. All of this business. It is exactly the same parallel. They clap, and then one lone voice strikes out from the audience. One little child. There from the mouth of babes speaks the truth, because the little child is too young to lie, and says, "That man's not wearing any clothes." And everybody turns round to the little one in horror, and the emperor looks on, and he clocks all their faces, and he sees what they see, and he understands that he is standing in the middle of a procession and a royal parade, totally naked, and that he has been duped and conned and ripped off and lied to, and that his own vanity wouldn't allow him to realize the truth. He fell for a wicked plot, but was so proud that he couldn't right the wrong. And what did he do when he realised that the little child had clocked him and that the whole crowd were now half trying not to laugh, stifling their giggles and amusement, half in horror that they have an emperor swaggering along with the crown jewels on full display? What did he do? He stuck his chin in the air, took his walking cane, and strutted on. He strutted on with every bit of him jingle-jangling unappealingly, and he thought, I am the emperor, I am the emperor, and I look fabulous, and that is that. So he knew that everybody was laughing at him. He knew that every citizen in his kingdom was overawed with this humiliating experience and this sight. But he just decided, I'm going to keep on keeping on, and if I just pretend that everything's okay, then I'm not standing here with everything wiggling about in the wind. Well, my dear, I tell you this tale as a cautionary device, because that is a scenario that Harry finds himself in right now, because after this period of friction that has been reported with his wife, and after his reneging on his principles by coming over to the coronation without an apology, he realises that the whole world is laughing at him and not taking him seriously. And even though they call him prince and they rapturously receive him, and he can turn up at the late Queen's funeral, and he and his wife will still get all the hugs in the world, because, you know, there are a few sycophantic types out there who are impressed by royalty, whoever they be, he has decided that he is going to todger on. He is going to todger on in naked humiliation. Just toddering his way through life. Prince Harry needs to heed the lessons from these old cautionary fables. And actually, before Hans Christian Andersen wrote The Emperor's New Clothes, it was based on fables that go back 700 years or more from all corners of the globe, from Spain to Persia to India. It's existed for a very long time because it's a classic trope, an archetype that repeats itself and again. You should learn from history, Harold. You should have paid more attention throughout your Eton education when you're out in the bogs. You were out in the bogs with your chums, getting up to all kinds of mischief, my dear. Oh, that boy. Thank you for popping in to see me. I appreciate your company. I appreciate your comments very much. So keep them juicy. They keep me entertained, intrigued, and highly amused. Highly amused. So I really do thank you very much for that. And my privy purse, my tip jar, is in the description box below if you'd like to treat me to a cup of tea or a trinket. And I thank you most sincerely, I really do. And I'll catch up with you soon. Run along now, run along and be good, won't you? Stay fruity, stay royal, and always on royal duty. I'll see you soon, my dears. Ta-ra and toodle pip.